Let's go to Mohammed. Mohammed is next up on PTL. Hey, Mohammed, what's going on?
How are you, Brian?
Hey.
Haven't spoken to you for a while. Listen, tell your cousin, Darian, when he calls back to take a breath and try to listen to the question before he Joe Biden's his answer. Anyway, why do you think everything that Donald Trump has said is a lie? Why
I never said.
Have you not given?
When did I say?
Well, did you give him credit? Is there one? Can you name one thing you've given him credit for?
Sure, but
his administration.
Sure, but when have I said that he lies about everything?
Almost every other sentence.
Okay, so I've never said that once on the show. He lies a lot. I've never said he lies about everything. He did say he was going to pardon a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists. I'm sure you're someone who probably was okay with that, right?
No, but why is that your go-to? Why is
because I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Mohammed. Because people like you and MAGA morons who always talk about law and order, and then you have no problem with Donald Trump calling people hostages and patriots who beat cops. It's because you're a hypocrite, Mohammed. Why don't you admit that? You're a hypocrite. Oh, let's not talk about that. But how many times have somebody like you brought up Hunter Biden's laptop, huh? I bet you talk about that every single day. I bet you call Joe Biden a pedophile every single day. But you don't want me talking about January 6th when you're supposed to be the law and order party, but we call people hostages and patriots who beat police officers? Mohammed, why don't you just admit it? You're a hypocrite.
Well, how many times did you criticize the people, the buildings, the police, all the destruction from the Summer of Love?
Plenty of times. That's a great deflection and pivot, by the way, but I'll still answer your stupid pivot whataboutism all the time. I've said constantly, whether it's LA. That's the problem. That's the problem, Mohammed. You just watch your OAN and Newsmax and you don't listen, okay? I have called out violence in any form, in any capacity. The people who beat cops during Black Lives Matter's protests are no more patriots than the people who beat cops on January 6th. But the difference was Joe Biden didn't pardon those people. Your orange leader did, and that's the guy who you support. Do you not understand the difference?
And your former president, who you touted, said was mentally fit and ready to go.
When did I say? When did I say?
I believe he pardoned his own family.
When did I say he was mentally fit? And when did I say he was mentally fit and ready to go?
You threw your support.
Over Donald Trump? Absolutely. Over a 34 count felon rapist? Absolutely. Let me be very clear on this, Mohammed. Let me be very clear. Joe Biden could be a vegetable sitting in a hospital, and I would still vote for him over Donald Trump. What do you think about that, buddy?
I think that makes you just as dumb as all the people.
I think that makes you okay with someone who rapes women. I think that makes you okay with someone who is a 34 count felon. You're not a doctor. You have no idea what Joe Biden was or wasn't when it comes to his health. But you make a gross assertion, and your excuse is, I'll vote for Donald Trump because Joe Biden wasn't mentally acute. You have no idea what you're talking about. Are you Joe Biden's physician?
It wasn't an assertion. You just said he could have been a vegetable.
Yes, he could have.
You would have voted for him over Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
So basically, 100%. What you're saying is you don't want who's more qualified and fit to do the job. You just hate Donald Trump.
Why was Donald Trump more qualified? What has Donald Trump done in his life that would make him more qualified than Joe Biden?
He wouldn't be more qualified than a vegetable?
First of all, if you have somebody who's overqualified for a job, but he's a 34 count felon. I don't know what you do for a living, Mohammed. Why don't you tell us what you do for a living, and then I'll ask the question.
Well, first of all, we've had this conversation before.
What do you do for a living? Just tell me. Tell me. What do you do for a living?
I own multiple businesses and a big sex shop here in Las Vegas.
Okay, so regardless of your sex shop or your multiple businesses,
if you had often.
Okay, well that's a lie, but not that there's anything wrong with going into a sex shop, but I was probably buying some items for your wife. But anyway, going back to what we were just saying, so if somebody walked into your store, let's just say it's a sex store, whatever. Somebody walks into your store and they have a lot of experience.
Let's use you as the example.
All right, why don't you just, hey, dummy, why don't you just,
for his micro
hey, dummy, you're not funny, okay? Just listen to what I'm saying, and then we'll continue the conversation. Somebody walks in there, okay, and they have a lot of experience working in your type of store. They have 30, 40 years experience, but They're a 34 count felon and they're a liable abuser. Would you hire that 34 count felon and that abuser because they have quote unquote experience? Or would you say, I'll hire somebody else with experience that doesn't have a criminal record? Answer the question.
So, speaking of whataboutism, you're the master, but okay.
Answer the question.
In that scenario, of course, I would want the person who's best qualified to do the job. Okay. Now,
would you hire the felon? Yes or no? Answer the question.
No, hang on. Would 34 felonies and a record make me not hire the person with more experience? Yes. But I wouldn't hire the veteran.
Look at that. All right.
My search.
Okay.
So then continue
first of all, if you only had two choices, okay, but I'm giving you a general thing, which you just admitted. Hold on. You just admitted on this show. You just admitted on this show that if somebody walked in there with a long resume and experience, you wouldn't hire them in a 34 count felon. But yet you have no problem hiring the guy to be the leader of the free world who's a 34 count felon. Makes you an idiot. Why don't you repeat after me, Mohammed? I'm an idiot. I wouldn't hire this guy at a sex shop, but I'll hire him to be the president of the United States. Mohammed, you're an idiot.
4 years experience in the job, and he did a great job.
Oh, really? How did he do a great job? What did he do? What did he do?
What do you mean, what did he do?
At the end, when he left office, he put us $8.2 trillion in debt. We were all locked up in our rooms and nobody was working. He got us $8.2 trillion in debt. What did he do? Tell me what he did.
He caused COVID? Caused COVID.
His response to COVID was an F-. I never said he caused COVID. Tell me what he did. What did he do?
Okay, but you touted all the jobs that the Biden administration
we had record low unemployment.
Which were just people going back to work.
Not true. Not true. The unemployment numbers were lower. See, this is why I love these Trumpers, because they have no idea what they're talking about. The unemployment numbers were lower when Joe Biden took office on average than before COVID when Donald Trump was in office. Are you completely unaware of that? That's a fact, dude. Why don't you look it up, Mohammed? Instead of working in your sex store and whatever else you do in there, I can imagine. What you have no idea what you're talking about. Repeat after me. My name is Mohammed, and I'm a recovering Trump fellatio syndrome candidate. Why don't you go to a Trump fellatio AA meeting? Why don't you do that?
Why don't so again?
What do you got to stutter now? You got to stutter now? What's wrong?
Give him credit for anything in this.
I'll give him credit for exposing. I'll give him credit for exposing on how many stupid people there are in this country like you who believe the BS and the nonsense.
He didn't close the border.
How many people crossed the border?
New bill.
How many people? He did not pass the bill.
He said would never be passed.
He did not pass the bill.
Would never make it.
It wasn't passed yet, so you don't know what you're talking about.
It's going to pass.
Okay.
Going to pass.
All right. That's like saying next year the Lakers are going to win the championship and the season hasn't even started yet. So you have no idea what you're talking about. The bill hasn't been passed yet. You couldn't name anything that he did. You said he did a great job with illegals crossing the border. Do you have any problem with those that are not getting due process, people that are getting sent to El Salvador prisons, ICE agents?
Where was your cry for due process when Obama dropped a bomb on an American citizen?
Okay.
I didn't hear you crying about it then.
Completely.
I didn't hear you crying about it then.
Okay, completely different scenarios. You have no idea what you're talking about. Did somebody drop a bomb on your brain cells? You have no idea what you're talking about. It's impossible to talk to you.
Did Obama drop a bomb and kill an American citizen overseas?
What did
he get due process?
You're talking about First of all, there is a difference between war and unintentional harm.
There's always a difference with you. There's always a difference.
You're comparing. Hold on a second. You're comparing.
Absolute disdain and hate for Trump will never let you give him credit.
You are comparing. Let me get this right. You're comparing what Tom Homan and the Trump administration are intentionally doing, arresting people without due process, to a bomb that was dropped and somebody that lost their life unintentionally. Do you realize how stupid that analogy is? Do you realize how stupid you are, Mohammed? You can't form an argument. You're an idiot.
You're saying it wasn't intentional to kill that person.
So you think terrorists? You think terrorists should have due process? You think terrorists should have due process?
Do you think people who break the law and don't belong in our country deserve due process?
Not if you're a terrorist. Not if you're somebody that openly is a threat in terror. We're not talking about that. We're talking.
So,
hold on a second.
so,
We're talking about people in this country, some of whom are nonviolent criminals that are being deported to El Salvador prisons. How could you not understand the difference of the two things of what we're talking about?
some, just like you always say that Republicans handpick one murder or one rape by an illegal, but that you have a better chance statistically of being
I don't
victim
say
of
that.
a crime
Hold on.
from an American
Hold on.
citizen.
I don't
Yes,
say
you
that.
do.
It's according
Yes,
to our
you
FBI. No. It's
okay, but guess what, Brian?
Yeah.
There are more U.S. citizens in this country than there are illegal aliens.
No. Let me explain.
That would make sense.
Let me explain something to you, Mohammed. I need to help you out here. Let me explain. Per capita. Do you understand what that means? I know you're very slow.
I do.
I know you're very good at counting your blow-up dolls in your store, but you're not very good at listening. Per capita, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from a U.S. citizen than you do somebody who is not a citizen. Did I stutter there?
Which would make sense when there's 330 million people in the country.
I just said, do you understand?
Illegals.
Do you just understand?
So
you don't even understand. You don't even understand. Okay, let me explain to you what per capita is, because you're so dumb.
I know what per capita
Well,
is.
if you did, then you would listen to what I said and take it, and you're not. It doesn't have anything to do with how many people. It has to do with the exact count of people, taking 100 undocumented immigrants and taking a random 100 U.S. citizens. Are you that stupid you don't understand? If you take that amount of people, you have a better chance statistically of being the victim of a crime from a U.S. citizen. Why are you so stupid you don't understand that?
By your own logic, in your own example, okay, it's statistics is apparently not your strong suit. So let me.
Oh, really? So where am I wrong on that? Tell me. Help me out.
Because you're doing what you always do, is finessing the word.
Not finessing anything. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Not finessing anything.
How many Americans are there in the United States?
Hey, completely irrelevant to per capita. Doesn't matter whether there's a billion. Doesn't matter what. Hold on. This is how stupid you are. It doesn't matter whether there are 5 billion people here or 500. Per capita means we take a number and compare it to the exact number of other people. Why is it you don't even know the definition of what per capita is, and yet you want to lecture me? You're a per capita moron is what you are. You're a moron.
You could not be more wrong.
Okay, all right. I'm talking to an inbred moron.
You being a victim of a crime by an American citizen when there are 300
listen, Mohammed, why don't you focus more on how many blow-up dolls you're selling? Because I'm sure a lot of MAGA supporters come in there like you. They've never been with a woman before, so I'm sure they're selling off the shelves, okay? I appreciate your call, Mohammed. You don't even know what per capita is. You're such an idiot, okay? I'm sorry, you're an idiot.